Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Bold Breakthroughs with Business Experts. I am here today just to serve you, and I brought a really big expert on here who is going to serve you as well. But I also want to tell you that I help bold entrepreneurs launch their business to make more money, increase their profits, and to get their time back. So I'm here with Janis Isaman. Tell us a little bit about who you are, Janis, and how you help people, and welcome.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I am the owner and founder of My Body Couture, and what I do is work with people to feel better in their body. There are some nutrition components to that, but a lot of it is movement and exercise. So what generally triggers people to come in or book a session online is that they have pain in their back or their neck or their knee or their shoulder or their hip. And a lot of that is because people have been sitting, focusing on work as opposed to focusing on fitness. So I help use sustainable, sensible, reasonable, rational techniques to help them get back on track so that they can become really productive in the rest of their life.
That is super awesome. I was having that issue. I even went to a doctor on Tuesday. So it's a pleasure that you're here to talk about that. You know, we do, especially, I think it was happening before, but you tapped on, sitting at your computer. And I think that with COVID, we're all doing a lot of that because we're all at home. We don't have the interaction to walk around and talk to, our coworkers and get coffee or a snack or whatever. So how do you help people that have gone from, kind of being a little mobile or medium mobile to sitting all the time? What are some of your techniques that you use?
That's a great question, because I will share with you, I am human as well. And I noticed, I am here in my commercial space today, but there was a period of time when my commercial space was closed. And I noticed that even teaching and even instructing people, my body was starting to really feel bad and I was starting to gain weight. And I put on my Fitbit and noticed that instead of taking 7,000 to 10,000 steps without thinking about it, I was taking 1,000 steps. So it was literally getting up from the couch, going to the kitchen, going from the kitchen to the bedroom or the washroom. And that's just not enough steps.
Right.
So during this time, I'm not actually a huge proponent of trackers and diaries and kind of making all of these regimented scheduled plans. But that is actually one of the things that at this time I do recommend, is that you use a tracker on your phone or a Fitbit or something, an Apple Watch, that kind of gives you a baseline data set about what you're actually doing. So a lot of people are really afraid to face that information because they don't want to see that they took 400 steps that day. There was a day when I took 352 steps and I'm a fitness professional. And I was like, no, but I actually do recommend that for a week or 2 weeks just to kind of get that information, because once we have that information, then we can start to get real about what is possible and what we need to do. And movement is what we need to do. What that looks like can look different for different people. I've had a lot of clients come in the past that say, well, I don't want to run. You don't need to run, but you can't sit on your bum for 14 or 16 or 18 hours and expect to be a professional that is really, really at your peak productivity.
Right. So for all of the viewers that don't know, and I'm one of these, how many steps should you take a day?
Well, that is a little bit of a matter of opinion. So if you look at the CDC, they're saying about 10,000. That is a bit random because I've also seen 15,000. I've also seen that we can get benefit from as low as 5,000. So at the end of it, it's somewhere between 5,000 and 15,000 steps.
Okay.
And I recognize what we're up against. I used to be a professional with a desk job, and I have a child, and I understand that if we're actually taking 1,000 steps, we're not going to jump from there to 15,000. Right. But the idea is we have to find something that we would like to do. So whether that's Pilates or yoga or running or walking or cycling or something where you are getting some movement in your day. And what I ended up doing for myself was just breaking that into kind of 3 little chunks. So instead of trying to tackle an hour I would go out in the morning for a 20-minute walk. And then at lunchtime, I would do something quick for 20 minutes. And that's a great way to get that in without it mentally overwhelming you.
Right. Now, it's funny because one of my coaches, even though I'm a coach, I have coaches, she has one of those mini trampolines. Now, let me ask you this, in her office. And I've really been wanting one, except my husband said, no more Amazon boxes. We're done. Does that count as steps if you're jumping?
So that's a great question. The idea isn't that we have to count steps. I mean, one of the disciplines that I'm actually certified to teach is Pilates. We're not going to get a lot of steps with Pilates. What we want is movement, because movement is going to fuel the brain. Movement is going to fuel that circulatory system. It's going to get the energy up. It's going to give you basically a stagnant body is a stagnant mind. So it doesn't matter, to be quite frank, if you're on a cycle, like a bike, where you're getting 0 steps, or whether you're up on a trampoline. You're going to get some steps on a trampoline. You can stand up and dance if that works for you. It's just giving you something where you can actually literally get out of the chair. That's really what your goal is. Get out of your chair and carve out 20-minute window just to do something.
And not get out of your chair and go to the kitchen and the refrigerator and then back to your chair, right?
Ideally, but that's it. To be quite frank with you, where some people are starting is we are better off to go to the kitchen than we are to just sit. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So do you work with people one-on-one? Do you work with people in groups? What does the structure look like inside your business?
Good question. So I built a business around a one-to-one practice, which is a very different kind of business model than we would typically see in a fitness brand or a fitness company. I literally see clients one-to-one. However, I have always had at least a couple group classes per week, and that's largely for those that don't have the time or the money or the the commute or what have you to come to a private session. So now I'm in the phenomenal position of being able to take those online. And so I'm offering all of my group classes in a digital format, which is great.
And because I tried Pilates, I think twice. My sister-in-law owns a Pilates studio. So she was a Pilates instructor, and she kept telling me, oh, it'll do so much for you and blah, blah. And I was like, okay, well, if I can look like you, I'll think about it. But I tried it the movements are so different and completely against what you think your body should do.
Yes.
So how are you doing that digitally? Do people have those machines or?
They don't.
No.
So I teach a bunch of different techniques. So when you come into my studio and have a one-to-one session, I'm blending and combining techniques. So fundamentally, you're coming in and you're saying, my back hurts, and we're going to figure out what in your body is making that situation happen. So likely there's some combination of stuff is too tight, other stuff's too weak, and we're just going to figure out what works for you and also where you're at. I mean, I have clients that are completely sedentary who maybe haven't done a day of exercise maybe ever, but some people 20 years, 30 years, 40 years. And then I've got other people on the other extreme where they're active competitive athletes, and I've had some ex-Olympic medal winners. Mm-hmm. And so that's quite a gamut of how active somebody wants to be. And so what I'm doing in those private one-to-one sessions is really assessing what the client wants to do in their life. If you don't have any athletic goals, we don't need to get you athletic training. The group sessions, I have basically broken them out by technique, and then you can take those techniques and try them. So I have Zoom classes for Pilates. They're mat work based. We're going to focus a lot on the core. I teach another technique called Yamana body rolling. That's going to get everything kind of open. It's going to get your skeleton back into the place where it should be. But the difference really is that a private session, it's just like business coaching, where you're going to get that private experience where it's really dedicated information for you. The group classes are, I call it like painting a house. Mm-hmm. We're going to get it done, but it's going to be with the roller brush, not with the fine point detail pen. So it just depends on what experience you want. They're both great, but the digital ones are focused on the technique. The private sessions are focused on the solution.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, I wanted to thank you for coming on. How can people reach you if they want to get in touch with you?
My business name is My Body Couture, and that's 3 words. It's my, M-Y, second word is body, B-O-D-Y, third word is couture, C-O-U-T-U-R-E. So I'm on all of the platforms under My Body Couture. You can go to my website, you can go to Instagram, you can go to Facebook, you can go to YouTube, and I'm on LinkedIn under my personal name.
Okay. And what I want you to do is when this finishes, go to my business page, put your links, or put your website, then they can get from there everywhere in the comments, so that everybody will have your information. Reach out to Janis. She can help you get moving and get going and doing the things that you want to do in your journey. And in the links from me, you're going to get the 5-step formula to closing more sales without being salesy. So I'll drop that in there. But thank you so much, Janis, for being here. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Bold Breakthroughs with Business Experts. Bye-bye.